So last year we got the news that Warner Bros. Gaming division was shifting its focus on developing games on its 4 biggest franchises: Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, the DC Universe, and of course Game of Thrones. However, despite the news coming out last year, this was clearly something they had in mind for quite some time, as the plan seems to be releasing a new Game of Thrones game every year. We saw the release of Game of Thrones King's Road last year, Dragonfire this year, and War for Westeros set for 2027. And lucky for me, I was able to get an early access from developer FortySeven to check out War for Westeros and see if it's worth the hype. Let's find out.
The Iron Throne stands empty.
When the trailer first dropped last year, I was excited that we were finally getting something RTS related with the series. The last one, A Game of Thrones Genesis, was so bad that everyone either pretends it didn't happen or forgot it existed altogether. Expect a dedicated video on that in the future. But War for Westeros seemed like a breath of fresh air. If there's one franchise that needed the RTS treatment, it was this one. And Game of Thrones is prime real estate for this type of thing. Diplomacy, sabotage, marriage alliances, and 2 armies going head to head, except that that's not in this game, per se. It's actually available in my favorite RTS of all time, Total War Shogun 2, a game released 15 years ago. Granted, I was only able to check out the beta, but based off what I've seen and played, this felt more like baby's first RTX than a complex strategy game with any meat on the bone. So, what did I actually play? Unfortunately, only the Skirmish mode was available to me, not the campaign, for some reason. And if you're new to that terminology, basically you start on one side of the map and your opponent starts on the other, and then you guys build your structures, recruit units, and try to overwhelm the other person for total victory. There's just one problem with that. That's not really what most of us are here for, and therein lies the problem with the game. Big battles and the occasional dragon sighting is only half of the series, but where's the other half? As I mentioned before, the sabotage, diplomacy, marriage alliances, and backstabbing are pretty common in the show, which is what the game is based on, specifically the later seasons, but somehow all that seems to be missing, especially when you learn the fact that there are only 4 factions available for the game at launch. I was only able to play as Starks and the Lannisters, okay, but any Ice and Fire fan will tell you that there are other families in Westeros and each have their own unique qualities, yet they're giving us the 2 most basic families any casual fan can point to. So far, it's only Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, and the Night King's army, and that seems pretty lackluster. It's like that one popular meme about the show, where in the first few seasons, the continent seemed diverse and complex, and by the end, it was just 4 factions duking it out. I was able to ask the head developer if any other houses will be available as DLC, and he pretty much told me that more information will be available as we get closer to release, which is probably a yes. If we're going by what happened with Game of Thrones King's Road, I suspect the game will have some play-to-win features and others locked behind a paywall. But okay, what about the actual gameplay? It's not bad. In fact, it's very basic. If you've played the Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth game back in 2004, then you're pretty much aware of how this will play. I will also argue that there's a bit of Dawn of War in here, the 40k game, at least in Skirmish mode. You start off with one unit that can build structures and from there generate money and influence points while holding on to your territory. Even though I was only able to play Skirmish mode, I'm starting to see, based off the preview, that the campaign might play like the campaign for Dawn of War Soulstorm, a game where you have bases set up in certain regions that you must defend, and then decide if you want to move your other armies to attack the ones your enemy holds. The hero units are pretty neat, and there are plenty of them. Starks get Jon and Robb and their direwolves, while Lannisters get Jaime and Tywin. A new trailer they just released showed us the Mountain, and Arya with her Faceless Man ability. I must say, the marketing for this game has been brilliant, but not really if you're familiar with this type of genre. They've been pushing this as a game that allows you to change the ending of the television show, and who here doesn't want that? But what they don't tell you is that this different ending thing is actually pretty common with these types of games, even ones that aren't real-time strategies. For example, remember Mortal Kombat, the crazy arcade fighting game? The canonical ending for the first game is that Liu Kang wins the tournament, but what if you play as Sub-Zero or Scorpion and beat the game with them? Well, you get an ending for that too, where they're the winners. Again, back to my favorite RTS, Shogun 2, historically the Tokugawa clan came out as the last one standing from the Warring States era, but if I decided to play and win the campaign as the Oda or Takeda clans, then the ending would reflect that. And let me be very clear, I'm not saying the game is good or bad. I can't give you a definitive answer on that until I get to play the full thing, but based off what I've played and have seen, it does feel like a cash grab from Warner Bros. If they were really interested in making a true-to-form Game of Thrones RTS, they would have hit up Sega to get the Creative Assembly guys to make a Total War version, or maybe the boys over at Paradox Development Studio to make a Crusader Kings version, but they chose to hit up a smaller studio for this project instead. Warner Bros. Is going out of their way to hit up a lesser-known company with almost no no games under their belt and giving them a well-known franchise to handle. It seems pretty fishy to me, but it also makes some sense, especially if this releases with a lot of microtransactions. Did you know that the Monopoly mobile game made $2 billion last year? The game is free to play, so where's all that revenue coming from? From in-app purchases. I don't blame Warner Brothers for going this route. They're a business and they want to make money. But as a result, the fans suffer. I don't blame the developer either. These are not their decisions, and ultimately they were hired to do a job, and they did it. But Warner Brothers' strategy here is to flood the market with as many games based off their IPs as possible and rake in the money from in-app purchases. That seems to be the clear goal. And if you're asking if the War for Westeros beta showed any microtransactions in there, no, it didn't, but neither did the King's Road game when that was in beta, and look how that released. Again, I'm not saying the game is bad, but I'm not saying it's good either, based off what I've played and seen, but this could change once the full game is out, and honestly, I hope I'm wrong, and it's the best Game of Thrones game ever made. I would have no issue saying that I was wrong, and would be happy to do so. But as it stands, this looks like a very generic mobile game ported to PC, one that doesn't seem worth the money, and with the state of modern gaming trying to gouge every bit of cash out of us while giving nothing of substance back, I just don't feel that excited right now. But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. I'll be sure to release a full review once the game is out next year, so look forward to that. And be sure to include your favorite RTS games in the comments below. I'd be curious to see what everyone enjoys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
The Iron Throne stands empty.
For Stark, an honor. Come on, men. Banners raised! Incoming! Try to defend yourself.
The fate of Westeros
Stand with me!
is yours to decide. Game of Thrones. War for Westeros.
Together, lads!
Fight me! I'll kill you all!
The girl is nobody.
No!
Valar Morghulis.